Hey, everybody, what's up? Welcome into the Athletic Fantasy Football Podcast Sunday morning pre-game edition before Week 8. Happy Halloween to everyone out there. Funston, I guess we forgot to get in the spirit here. I
What,
guess
what are
we're
you
dressed
talking
up as
about?
ourselves.
Dressed up as a tired old man. I thought I did a pretty good job.
Nailed it.
Happy
You
Halloween.
absolutely nailed that. Happy Halloween to you as well. We've got some big news actually this Sunday morning. Calvin Ridley, a surprise inactive. Jamal Williams, also something of a surprise inactive. Julio Jones, Corey Davis, ones that we basically knew, but confirmed. Those guys are out going into their games today. And then, of course, we've got the big one lingering on Sunday night, Funston, with Dak Prescott. Let's, before we take any questions, and thanks for being with us, start populating the chat with the questions. We'll get to as many as we possibly can here. There are no bad questions here. Just get them all in there. We'll take as many as we can. But first, I want to ask you this, Funston. Let's say you are a Dak Prescott manager. Let's say you have Cooper Rush. So you have the backup plan available, and then you've also got, whatever other backup quarterback you might have. How far down that list are you going? How far are you willing to chance Dak Prescott? Who do you have to say, nah, I'm not going to roll the dice on Prescott?
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Like, so if your backup is not Cooper Rush, if your backup is somebody else.
No, I'm saying you have the Cooper Rush contingency.
Oh, okay. I got you.
What quarterback would you say, yeah, this guy's good enough for me to not roll the dice on Dak?
Like, yeah.
What's the breaking point?
Like, I would rather just put this guy in my lineup and not chance it. I'm
and
looking at my rankings
Dak
right now. I think probably about a Matt Ryan, Teddy Bridgewater. I like Teddy Bridgewater against the Washington football team. I kind of, once I get into the Jameis, Sam Darnold, I actually not big on Tua this week, Taylor Heineke, kind of that area. If that's my other options, I'm probably chancing it with Dak.
And then you'll just play Cooper Rush if Cooper Rush ends up being the guy for the Cowboys. So that's a good. So we're talking like anyone in the top 20, you're probably playing and just not rolling the dice on Dak.
Yep,
exactly. It's a good way to go into it. Good thing to have in the back of your mind for anyone with Dak Prescott later today. Are there any surprise guys at the wide receiver position that you would consider starting over Cooper or Lamb?
Well, I was talking about this at the end of the week. It's like I'm dropping those guys if Dak's out about 10 spots. So almost like, I have CeeDee Lamb currently as a back end wide receiver 1. At like number 11 at wide receiver. I'm moving him down to about 20 if it's Cooper Rush. And Cooper's falling down to about 30 from around the 20 area if Cooper Rush is in there. So, I mean, the surprise is, I would play probably like a Sterling Shepard or I would even chance a Kadarius Toney since those guys got a couple practices
looks like they're
in.
Good,
it looks like they're good. They get to wait till Monday night. So I'd probably play those guys.
Fingers crossed that Dak plays because that's a fantasy bonanza waiting to happen. Vikings and Cowboys with a healthy Dak Prescott. So let's hope that for everyone, right? We want the Cowboys to be coming back at the Vikings, so the Vikings have to make all the good use of Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook and Adam Thielen and everyone. So really hope Dak's able to go in that one, and hopefully not too many people out there have to make tough decisions before we know for sure if Dak is in or not. Let's get to some of these questions here, Funston. Christian brings us our first one, full point PPR. Marvin Jones at Seattle, Jacoby Myers at the Chargers.
I think we had to call Jacoby Myers what he is. He's a wide receiver 4. I love the matchup for Marvin Jones. I mean, this guy gets in the end zone all the time. Jacoby Myers in his NFL career never has. At least not on a play that counted because there was a flag thrown. But I'm going Marvin Jones Jr. here all the way.
I am also going Marvin Jones Jr. here all the way. I like the Jaguars actually to pull an upset in that game, get a win in Seattle.
I don't think it's an upset.
We talked about this. We talked about it earlier in the week. I think Jacksonville's got the better offense in this game. With Geno Smith at the helm, Jacksonville has the better offense in this game between these two teams.
I heard Daniel Jeremiah, say that without Russell, if you compare the rest of the rosters, he thinks the Jaguars have a more talented roster than the Seahawks. Yeah. So I wouldn't think it would be an upset either. So, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens.
Got a money line bet on that myself. So let's go Jags. Sorry, Funston. DJ Osborne, thanks for joining us, DJ. Happy Halloween to you as well. Ricky Seals-Jones or Dan Arnold. We got full point here, Funston. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm feeling both of these guys, but I think just for Ricky Seals-Jones, I think I'm kind of chasing the touchdown upside. Seems like he is a guy that's getting looked at a lot when they get close to the end zone. Whether he pulls it in or not, he's at least getting the attention. So both good tight end options this week. I just like Ricky Seals-Jones a little bit more.
I like Dan Arnold a little bit more, similar to what we were just talking about with Marvin Jones. I like that Jacksonville offense in this game, and Arnold has had a meaty role to play ever since the trade, and they threw him right in there. We talked about that right after the trade. That trade happened on like a Wednesday, and Dan Arnold was not only up but got like 6 targets on Sunday. So they clearly saw something in him, and he's been utilized frequently ever since he's been in Jacksonville. So he's the guy who I would go with here, but agree with you, it's close. These are guys both register as low-end tight end ones when you're looking at the full tight end landscape this week. This one coming to us from Nicholas. He can start 2 out of, I'm going to assume, DJ Moore, Deebo Samuel, and Chris Godwin. 3 great receivers.
Yeah, and actually, I'm feeling Godwin. Mike Evans may be tussling with Marshawn Lattimore, but I just can't go away from Deebo and DJ Moore here. This is an embarrassment of riches. It's it's a pretty nice problem to have. But I think if I'm going with a guy that I think maybe it has the iffiest, kind of upside down or upside versus downside, I think it's Godwin.
I am actually going to go with Godwin and Deebo. We're
Okay.
agreed on Deebo. I like Godwin better than DJ Moore. It's mostly a bet on the Buccaneers and Tom Brady. Right? I mean, that's what these guys are. If we simulated today's games 10 times, I think it's pretty fair to say that Godwin would have the better game 5 times and Moore would have the better game 5 times. So there's really no way to pinpoint in on exactly who and why is going to be the better receiver between those two. So I come down to would I rather bet on the Buccaneers in a game with an over-under in the low 50s and Tom Brady, or would I rather bet on the Panthers and Sam Darnold with a game that has an over-under down in the low to mid-40s? And so that's why I'm going.
Man.
That's why I'm going Chris Godwin. That's why I'm going Chris Godwin over DJ Moore. But like I said, simulate today 10 times. I bet Moore has the better game 5 and Godwin has the better game 5. Definitely a tough one there. TB, maybe this is Tom Brady himself. TB coming to us. Ridley out in a deep league. We're looking at 1. Marquez Callaway, Darnell Mooney, Jamal Agnew, or Jamison Crowder.
If it's PPR juiced, I'm Jamison Crowder here. We see this. I could see him.
No Corey Davis.
No Corey Davis. 8 to 10 targets could be in play for him, and it maybe not a touchdown. But it could get some decent yardage. Again, if it's a PPR league, I'm going Jamison Crowder. I probably still go even in a standard league. I'm not sure. Jamal Agnew is a little bit interesting. So is Callaway, just because you can't run against Tampa, so they're going to have to throw a bit. But again, I think I'm leaning Crowder in all ways here.
Yeah, I think I do too, even with Mike White, which continuing our movie theme from last week, Mike White, right? School of Rock and Orange County, right? I mean, funny movies, right? Love the writer and director, Mike White. Not so sure about the quarterback, Mike White, but without Corey Davis, there should be plenty of targets for Jamison Crowder. So that's probably the way I would. I mean, Darnell Mooney's easy for me to cross off. We just haven't seen a thing from Chicago's passing game literally all season. That's a very easy one for me to get rid of. Agnew, it's been a nice little story. Callaway can maybe hit a deep play. Crowder's going to get the most targets out of these 4. I feel comfortable saying that. And so that's when we're talking about guys this far down your wide receiver list, I'll just follow the volume, even with Mike White as the quarterback, and go with Jamison Crowder here. Zane's got one for us. Would you risk starting Gronk even with the injury concerns, or go with Ricky Seals-Jones?
I think I would. I think it sounds like Gronk's going to play. And if he plays, I just, what is it? 4 touchdowns in 3 games. You can get you get some nice plus odds on. I think it's like plus 195 on an anytime touchdown for Gronk, which I liked an awful lot. But I just, with no Antonio Brown there, it's such an unbreakable bond those two have, and it's like they're just kind of reading each other's minds, so they always have that in play against this good Saints defense. I could see that working out.
Yeah, I'm with Funston on this, Zane, and I would also say almost if Gronk doesn't play this week, it seems like basically a guarantee that he's back in the Buccaneers next game, and then on the flip side of this, Logan Thomas seems like he's likely coming back for Washington, if not next week, the week after. So I would drop Ricky Seals-Jones, and I would pick up Cam Brate or O.J. Howard just in case Gronk doesn't play, because I don't think if you don't start RSJ this week, it's probably the last time you're going to have a chance to start him. So I don't really think he serves you any purpose. Definitely rolling the dice on Gronk, picking up one of those Buccaneers tight ends, and then from next week forward, you're going to be able to trust Gronk pretty well. So that's what we'll go with there. BCM got a half PPR question for us, Funston. We're picking 2, Javonte Williams, Antonio Gibson, and Devontae Smith.
I guess I'm going to lean the running backs here and just take myself out of the Jalen Hurts passing experience there. So give me. I mean, there's questions about all these
You're
guys.
Mr. Sell Antonio Gibson though.
I am, but he's getting his mid-teens rushing attempts, even as he's playing through the pain of the shin injury. And I don't think he should be. But until Washington makes the move to actually let him rest and get this thing, much taken care of, I guess I just got to believe that Antonio Gibson's going to do what he's been doing. It's just, gritting his teeth and going for it. So I expect mid-teens touches. I expect, low teens touches for Javonte Williams. Kind of business as usual. Devonta Smith, it's just been a little bit of a roller coaster ride with that passing game.
I'm going to be, first of all, Javonte Williams and Antonio Gibson, right? You get to just focus in on Denver and Washington and cheer for those guys. That's the direction I'm going as well. And if that game stays close too, like maybe you get a little bit more usage out of Antonio Gibson. But obviously the crack here with Gibson is, in addition to the injury, is that he really doesn't have a role to play in the passing game. And early in the season, we thought he was going to, and it just hasn't really happened. J.D. McKissic taking that over. And so if they were to get down, that's when you really get concerned about Antonio Gibson. I don't know how big that risk is against the Broncos today. So I feel okay about Javonte and Antonio Gibson being your two guys here. Albert Rose got a question for us. Albert's in a half PPR league. Good morning to you as well. Pick two out of T. Higgins, Devontae Smith, and Kadarius Toney. T's obvious. Who are you taking between the other two?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Toney here. Again, he's practiced two games, Friday and Saturday, and looks like he's good to go in a game against Kansas City. Expect them to be scoreboard chasing in that one. Kadarius Toney looked fantastic for the couple weeks that we saw him before he got hurt. And again, it's weird to say, but I kind of trust him more, even though he's been out. I kind of trust him more than I do Devonta Smith.
I'm totally there with you. Once again, we are in agreement here. Definitely going to be scoreboard chasing. Could be a high-scoring game, too. It's got I want to say it might be the highest over-under on the board now because of the Vikings-Cowboys total coming down because of the feeling that Dak Prescott's not going to start for the Cowboys. I think Chiefs and Giants is the highest total on the board this week off the top of my head. If it's not the highest, it's like the second highest. It's one of the few that is into the 50s this week. So I'm with you. Kadarius Toney would be my play alongside T. Higgins, who I absolutely love this week. Bengals against the Jets. Let's get to this question here from Kevin. Michael Carter or Javonte Williams, half PPR?
Oh, former teammates.
Tugging at your heartstrings here, Funston.
I know. I think I have Javonte Williams one spot ahead of Carter. So I guess I'm going Javonte Williams here. It pains me to say this is a really good week for running backs. I have Carter 29 or 30 in my rankings, and I would feel just fine playing him this week.
I'd probably go Javonte also, but I'm with you. I'm starting Michael Carter in more than one league. Yeah. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly how many because I have him in a bunch, but I know I'm starting him in at least two spots, and I feel good about it. I'm excited about starting him. Yeah. I don't care how that game goes with the way that they used him in the passing game a week ago. Like I really think there's going to be plenty of work for Michael Carter, whether it's a blowout, whether the Jets somehow keep it close, which I don't expect, but just trust Javonte Williams a little bit more. At least he's not pulling away from Melvin Gordon this week and maybe not at all this season, but we know what Javonte Williams' role is. We know the sort of touch floor that he has every single week. It's very close to the ceiling. The touch floor and the touch ceiling aren't far away from one another, but the touch floor is nice. And again, just trust the Broncos offense a little bit more with over a Mike White-led Jets offense. So Javonte Williams is our answer for you, Kevin. Let's get to this one from Zane, debating over my last flex spot in PPR, Gibson, Booker, or Collins. It's got to be Gibson.
Yeah, I have Gibson ranked the highest. These guys are fairly close in my rankings, and I've moved Collins up a little bit. Seems like he's going to be checking out fine in the health department. Yep. Probably more rest than serious injury with him this week. So good matchup, but again, I think it's Antonio Gibson for me.
Yeah, me too. I'm worried about Collins, man. That's another guy who I have on a lot of teams where I'm like benching him for Michael Carter, for example. I worry about that Seattle offense. I just think it could be another wreck of a game because of Geno.
Yeah, and that last game, weirdly, I just thought Alex Collins didn't play well. He was very indecisive. I think there was spots where he just needed to put his head down and go and hit the hole, and did a little too much river dance in there.
All right, let's get on to next question here from Kyle Woods. We got two, Shepard, Gainwell, and Judy. I'm going to say that we're both in agreement. Shepard is an easy yes here. Certainly sounds like he's going to be playing on Monday night. Gainwell versus Judy's a good one, right? No Miles Sanders. So we expect Gainwell to have something of a larger role in Philly's offense. Judy, very tempting, but first game back. How healthy is he? What do you got here?
I would take the unknown in Jerry Jeudy over the known in Kenneth Gainwell. And I just know that this Eagles backfield been vastly unproductive with Miles Sanders there and Gainwell, and now you got Jordan Howard in the mix, and maybe Jordan Howard becomes, that kind of slows Boston Scott's role maybe a little bit in the running game. But I don't know that they're going to change up Kenneth Gainwell's role a whole lot. I think they like him how they were using him, and they're going to have Boston Scott and Jordan Howard sort of, pick up things for Miles Sanders.
Yeah, that was something I didn't think about, really. I got to give you credit on from our Monday show. I didn't really think about the fact when we were talking about Gainwell versus Scott, the first question you really need to ask yourself is, well, do I want to be invested in this Philadelphia backfield at all with the way that they've played this season? And I think the answer is sure, as depth, but as a starter, I'm not so sure. So I'm with you, Judy. I will take that unknown. I feel like they would, if they really thought he needed one more week, they would give him one more week. Right. And so I feel good. I feel comfortable with the assumption that Judy's going to be, if not all the way himself, something very close to it. And I like him in this spot. So we're going to go Shepard and Judy for you there, Kyle. Next up, a question from Jaden. Jaden wants to know PPR Keenan Allen or A.J. Brown. Wide receiver one's Mike Williams. Do you start both of those Chargers, or do you get A.J. Brown in there, Funston?
I get A.J. Brown in there. And what was it? When Julio Jones a couple weeks ago when he was out, A.J. Brown was like 100 plus and a touchdown. It's a good match. It's a decent matchup, and you just know that A.J. Brown's going to be the go-to guy in that passing game.
Very easy for me to get A.J. Brown in there as well, Jaden. And I'm not. You say you have Henderson at flex. You're not changing that either. You're definitely keeping Darrell Henderson in there. I think this is anyone who has Darrell Henderson starting him, so we're not helping you out by saying this. Wouldn't be surprised to see Sean McVay want to get him right after a surprisingly meh game statistically against the Lions last week. That was just a strange game with the Lions, the surprise onside, the fake punts, just a weird script where Darrell Henderson was never really able to get going. Now you've got another 2-touchdown favorite in the Rams this week. I think we see a big game out of Darrell Henderson. He'd be one of my favorite plays from a DFS standpoint if that's something that you're getting into later today. So that's what we're looking at here. Get A.J. Brown in there. Keep Darrell Henderson in there. DJ's got one for us here. Funston, Chase Claypool or Kadarius Toney full point PPR?
I think I like Chase Claypool enough that I'll just take out any kind of concern about Toney coming back from injury and it being the last game of the weekend. So give me Chase Claypool.
Yeah, give me Chase Claypool as well. I really think, like, with Juju down, as much as Pittsburgh's offense has been, I don't know if disappointing is the right word, but I just think we recalibrated the expectations for them with the way the player Ben Roethlisberger is at this stage of his career. I think even with knowing that going into every single week, Claypool and Deontay Johnson, you're going to have really good options to sit either one of those guys. And Tony's a great player, but he's not up at Claypool's level just yet.
And this is kind of one of those things like you asked me about Dak, how far down would you have to go at the quarterback? It's kind of the same deal. Like I would have to go further down, So Claypool's in the guys I would just feel comfortable putting in there and not having to worry about that decision.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally with you on that one. Let's get to this question here from Stefan. Terry McLaurin or Mike Evans? Embarrassment of riches as well. This is like, don't want to sit either of them, Stefan, that's for sure. I think I lean Mike Evans, but there's really no wrong answer.
Yeah, I might lean McLaurin. I don't think you can completely just, ignore the history of Lattimore versus Mike Evans. There's been like
love Ohio
2
State.
yards,
Terry McLaurin, Marshawn Lattimore. You just love Ohio State, Funston.
That's true. I really, really, really do not. But I like a lot of the products they put out for sure. And I like Terry McLaurin. Sure. So this is an embarrassment of riches, a splitting hairs, but I'll go the other way, and you'll go Evans. Not helping anybody out here.
Same thing I said with Godwin. When it's this close, give me the guy who gets the ball thrown to him from Tom Brady. That's what I'm going with here, and that's why I'm going with Mike Evans. Dean Tyree got one for us. Pick 3.5 PPR. Patterson, Chuba, Darrell Williams, Khalil Herbert. This is a good one. These guys are all rubbing elbows in pretty much everyone's rankings.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of moved Patterson up a couple spots when Ridley went out.
He's the top for me. He's the top out of this group for me.
Same, and I think I'm gonna sit Chuba.
Ooh, okay.
I just, Darrell Williams had a bad week last week, but we saw him a couple touchdowns, and decent yardage the week before, and just feels like against the Giants, they could be living in the red zone in this game. So, and I just can't sit Khalil Herbert right now. The guy looked fantastic, in the last couple of weeks. So, I'm sorry, Chuba, but I have to sit you.
All right, Dean, I'll make the argument for Chuba over Khalil Herbert. Khalil Herbert's looked great. Khalil Herbert, absolutely, last 2 weeks has passed the eye test. He's been making big plays. He's been making explosive plays. I mean, frankly, he's looked, if not better than David Montgomery pre-injury. He's looked as good as David Montgomery has in Chicago's offense. So you got to give him that credit. I just worry about the fact that Damian Williams was ahead of him on the depth chart when they were both playing in place of Montgomery. Damian Williams got more snaps in that game, was clearly the passing game option for the Bears. And then he got off the COVID list on Friday or Saturday of last week. So he didn't practice all week. They didn't think they were going to have him until the very last second when he was able to clear COVID protocols and get back into the active lineup. And so I just worry that last week was not a sign of Khalil Herbert taking over from Damian Williams. It was a sign of, we actually don't think Damian can really give us much after the week that he's had. So I would worry about him being a little bit more involved this week. And that's enough for me to push Herbert ever so slightly behind Chuba Hubbard. That's why I go with Chuba.
All right. This one didn't sway me. When you start throwing around Tom Brady versus Taylor Heineke and Tom Brady versus Sam Darnold, then I am like, okay, well, that's a fair point. But like this one, I'm still on the Herbert bandwagon.
All right, let's get one more question in here. It's from Jonathan. Does Mike Davis come back to life this week? I don't see why you think he would.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, maybe more so than he did last week, but I don't. I wouldn't expect a lot. He's ranked in my mid-30s at the running back position. I do think that there is maybe some hope that Cordero Patterson is used more in a passing game role, and maybe Mike Davis gets a little bit more run because of that, because Calvin Ridley's out. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Mike Davis wasn't giving you a whole lot, even when he was like clearly the guy getting 15 plus touches week in and week out.
I played that game when they were over in London, and Mike Davis was, and Calvin Ridley was out, and I was already going into that week to bench Mike Davis, and then they say Ridley's out, and I'm like, all right, well, maybe they use Patterson now more as a traditional receiver, and Mike Davis can have the backfield largely to himself, and that just did not happen. He had 13 carries for 53 yards in that game, but it was the touchdown that saved him, and then only 2 catches for 8 yards in that game, and so I'm just concerned about the fact that if he didn't really take advantage in a big way the first time, why is it going to happen the second time? And so that's why I stay away from Mike Davis. And just to give you an idea of who I'm playing over him, I've got Mike Davis on a team. It's a relatively deep starting lineup. We start 2 backs, 3 receivers, and 2 flexes in addition to a super flex. And guys who I have in my lineup with Mike Davis on the bench, I started James Conner on Thursday. I've got Chuba in there over him. I've got Melvin Gordon in there over him. Austin Eckler, obviously. I have Alex Collins on the bench in this team. I would play Alex Collins over Mike Davis. I would have to be pretty desperate to be playing Mike Davis just with everything that we've seen from him this season, and frankly, everything we've seen from Cordell Patterson as well. Got to give credit where credit is due. A couple more questions to get to before we wrap things up here, Funston. This one coming from BCM. Pick 1, Cooks, Landry, Hilton, David Johnson.
I wish Brandon Cooks got Tyrod Taylor back, but I'm still probably going Brandon Cooks. Just David Johnson's played his way close. Yeah, but I mean, I think it's Cooks for me.
I think it's Cooks too. I want to like Hilton because of what he did 2 weeks ago, but like it's just, I mean, Hilton is that much away from another calf strain and being out.
That's what I'm worried about. Just
Hilton could give you 5 plays and then he's injured again.
Yep.
So that's what worries me about. If you guaranteed me 4 quarters out of T.Y. Hilton, I think he would be my answer here. But there's no way to know that for sure with how injury prone he has been over the last couple of seasons. So I'm going to go Cooks as well, even though I don't love the fact that Davis Mills is still the quarterback there. 2 more questions. This one coming from Eric, half point PPR. Ayuk, Allen Robinson, or Russell Gage, and then Cousins or Bridgewater. I'll take the quarterback question. It's the easier one. You can take the receiver question. I think this is Cousins in a slam dunk.
Yeah, I mean, and I would want Dak Prescott to play in this one. I think Minnesota could go more conservative if he doesn't, But even still, I'm with you on Kirk Cousins. He's pretty much reliable. I'm leaning Russell Gage here.
Crazy. Imagine someone telling you that before the season.
Oh, exactly.
Right? I mean, Allen Robinson drafted as a top 10 receiver. Brandon Ayuk, what was he, like wide receiver 22 to 24? And now we're starting Russell Gage over both of them in week 8.
Yeah, and actually, as I think about it, it's probably not even really that close. Russell Gage was out the game that Ridley was out last time, I think.
The London game, they both missed.
And I think it was guys like Tajay Sharp had, mediocre games. But I just feel like Russell Gage was decent last time out, and he's probably going to in line for a few more targets this week.
With you there. Crazy. But yeah, Russell Gage, that's our answer for this one, Eric. Last question for this morning coming to us from Joey Perps. Let's see. Evan Sutton or Lockett. Pick one. And is the rest just context? There we go. Patterson, a must start in flex. Can replace him with one of those receivers. All right. So basically, we got to have one of those receivers and then any of them or Cordero Patterson for a flex spot.
Yeah, I'm leaving Cordero Patterson in my flex spot, and I think I got him ranked in the order in which you listed them, and you have the guy that's lowest on my rankings in your lineup right now. I would switch that out, and I would go with Mike Evans.
I would also go with Mike Evans. I mean, we've talked about Tyler Lockett a lot in this space. He's a boomer bust player with Russell Wilson, but with Russell Wilson, the booms come relatively frequently. I mean, there is not a better quarterback in the NFL for Tyler Lockett than Russell Wilson. If not the best deep ball thrower, the second or third best. And I think he's probably the best deep ball thrower in the NFL. They are a perfect match for one another. Geno Smith is not checking that box the way that Russell Wilson does. So, I mean, Tyler Lockett for me is easily benchable, especially when you have a couple options like this. And I agree with Funston. The one that I am going with is Mike Evans. Thank you all for going with us this morning. Hopefully we answer your questions in a way that will help you get some victories later today. Thanks again for being with us. Enjoy your Sunday. Happy Halloween. Celebrate responsibly. Enjoy the candy. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the football. We'll talk to you soon. Let's all go out there and get some W's today.